some new ways of looking at stuff right out of Fanatical Prospecting. So a lot of fun. We did chapter 7 and 8 in preparation of today. 7 and 8 being the 3 P's. Can't wait to hear you guys take away from those, as well as time. That one constant we all have, that we get a look at how we're doing it. And again, this is a mastermind, not a bloviation. I did quite a bit of talking on Friday when it came to our content. So today, man, it's all about you guys. What do you have from these 2 chapters or anything previous?
It's good to hear it again. It's a good refreshment.
What pieces?
I left my book on the other side of the room. Sorry.
Well, while you're doing that, let's bounce to Kim.
The power of time blocking, calendaring, and planning your day for success. And I think from a personal perspective, when I started doing that and doing it consistently and on a big level, my business shifted. And I'd also shifted from having a job to having a career.
And how much from previous chapters, like chapter 5, how much of our day should be dedicated to the prospecting piece?
All of it, big portion of it, a big portion of your work day.
75% is what I've given you. He said up to 80 in the material. And I love that you are connecting that now, that we time block that. Because for me, man, biggest takeaway on this, and there's a lot in here, but this one just hit me right between the eyes because of what we have taught before. Parkinson's law states that all work expands to fill the time allowed. We've heard that before somewhere, right? And I've talked about it. Well, I love Horstman's corollary instead. All work contracts to fit the time allowed. You set a 10-minute meeting with no chairs, everybody has to stand. Magically, the agenda gets done in 10 minutes. So having a time block, having it, again, condensed down and really focus with intensity. And there were some other great examples out of here. Dorothy, you can come on back. You're muted, Dorothy. I muted you with background noise. Come on back.
You're so clever. She said exactly what I would have said in slightly different words. And work expands to fill the time allotted to it. Yes, we've heard that again and again and again, but it's true. And I find that I have time blocked my entire life from henceforward. And guess what? I feel freed up and lightened up. And I have time to do everything I have to do. It's
there's magically always, it's fun. There's never enough time to do everything. There's always enough time to do the important things. What you have decided was important. And it's so much fun when I go through somebody's day that I am working with on coaching and say, great, what did you do yesterday? And it was all stuff that wasn't goal achieving. It was tension relieving. It was stuff that other people maybe had brought to their plate. It was busy work. It was contract work that they could delegate, like we learned in here. And it wasn't stuff that truly got them to the goal. What else you guys have?
I thought it was interesting, pages 44 and 45. The thing that you've heard before, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. I was meeting with a bunch of new agents last week, and man, did I hear a bunch of excuses, some that were familiar. And after I kept pressing, I discovered some reasons why. But advance is the optimal word. And then it talks about when perfect research, perfect organization, finding the perfect time to call becomes an obsession that you use to shield yourself from potential rejection, or if you delude yourself into believing that you are working when you are accomplishing nothing, you've got to get control of it. that's the axiom, or what I use is everybody's getting ready to get ready to get ready. And just take a step. That's all that he's saying. And then your steps will become more perfect in time.
Yeah, I want to go back, Tom, because you opened with a very powerful quote, because most of us have heard the axiom, anything worth doing is worth doing right. And yet Zig Ziglar's quote, which is what the author was quoting here, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Translation, take swings. Translation, get into activity and watch the magic happen. And so many people, when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to lead gen, when it comes to filling the pipeline, have every excuse in the book not to. And these 3 Ps are some of the biggest killers. Justin, what do you got, brother?
I got a few little things. On page 62, it says mobile devices were turned off and placed into drawers. I could see the brilliance in that, and yet I sit here making calls from my cell phone. Did cause me to question for myself about dialers, which I have some story to cause me to not really like the idea of a dialer. And then it got me to like I don't know if it's a deeper or simpler question. How many calls should an average or better realtor be able to make in an hour prospecting on average? What are your thoughts on all of that? Office line or 2 different phones, or phone for calling out to keep you from, the people then responding on the cell phone, or those other beep stings and et cetera. So that's my first.
So
piece.
let's break this down to device and the quote calls. On your device now, because when this was written, the technology wasn't as advanced. You now have the ability to turn off all notifications. So shut that off so none of that background chatter is going to distract you. Make it to where it's just a phone. You can do that with the device. That way I like using my cell for outbound calls, because it's my legitimate number, and it's the number that I want everybody to have, because that way they know it's truly me and they can get a hold of me. That's my model. Okay. Yes, dialer is an awesome tool that can increase your speed. Yet remember, in the example in here, people didn't show up in that room with dialers. On the earlier example where he, took a sales room, had a meeting, said, go get lists and come back into this training room. They came back with their cell phones and their lists, and they had on average 22 dials. So I want to make sure we separate this calls. We have dials and we have conversations. And I want to really know the conversations. If you want to track dials as well, great. Yet the conversations is key. How many conversations you're having. So Justin, you asked about numbers, some ratios. Is it easy for anybody in this room to have, if they sat down and focused and dialed and got after it, 4 conversations an hour? Which means easily in a 6-hour day, you could have 24 conversations every single day. How many people in here had 24 conversations any day last week? And I'm not seeing a lot of hands up. I see Ryan, okay? And Chris did only 2 conversations. That being said, guys, that's all this business is. And again, the marketing, if you're doing the marketing at a high level and you've gotten there, it's driving 24 inbound connections for you to reach out to, or inbound rings for you to answer. Excellent. If that's not happening, you've got to backfill it with outbound conversations to get to your number. And it's not how many dials we have. It's so much fun on our accountability call. There's a happy little face in here that last week said, oh, I had 25 calls yesterday. And I asked for clarity, dials or conversations. Everybody in this room, by the way, if nobody answers, could easily make 20 to 25 dials in an hour. With leaving messages, by the way. If you dial, get a voicemail, I want you to stick around and leave the message. You easily could do that. The issue is the focus isn't happening. The time on task isn't happening, especially the time on task over time. Matt, you're up. Matt, you were up and then you muted. And now he's gone totally away. So who else? Gary, what do you got?
Can we talk about that one paragraph that talked about like doing it side by side and that like I keep talking about, you know, that part?
The part of where he, as a trainer and coach, would actually sit side by side with people and make conversations happen to get them going. That part?
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
I'm such a baby.
What do we have
Sorry.
every day from 2 to 5 o'clock here in the Renegade Room? The
I knew you were
opportunity
gonna-
to be side by side with each other, doing the work. To keep our cameras on and be authentic and show people that we're doing the work.
I guess so, yeah.
That was a deep
You're right.
dive, Gary. Right?
Because I knew you were gonna.
You know it's there. You know the opportunity's there.
I know.
You
Why
know
can't
you
I
can plug
just?
in.
You're right. You are right. You're completely 100% right.
And I love you enough to hold you
I'm just-
accountable. And we're going to talk about that, I think, maybe in the next book and the power of accountability. Dave, finger up to chat, brother. Let's hear from you. Are you speaking right now, Dave? Your microphone isn't speaking, Dave. So check your mic. And again, over in the menu tools, you can see if the mic's on or not. I will tell you it's turning off here. So if you want to log out, log back in, that might solve the problem as well. Because I definitely want to hear from you, all right?
Coach, I got
So
something for you.
Dave Caesar, you're up, brother.
So, again, this has been hearing you say this more than any time, but on page 57, Parkinson's law states that the work tends to expand to fill the time allotted for it. So I feel in our world, a lot of the time we have all day to make these calls where we feel that we do, instead of shortening that time to say, no, we're gonna just make this call in just this hour. And again, I think we can even simplify the thing to just half hour, 15 minutes, just to get that motor going. Just like in thinking Atomic Habits, where he mentions, remember, just walk one block and come back. Just one block and come back, and then the next week. So it's just that habit, building that habit of making the phone calls. And once you will get used to it, making the connections that almost feel empty if you don't make those connections. But that page 57 hit myself as well, because you've hit it and said it so many times. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, thank you for that. And absolutely right. And this is why, by the way, the time blocking, and he doesn't go into the details on how to do it. And if you guys want to have another calendaring class of learning my way of doing it from big picture to small, let me know. Put in the chat, yes, calendar class, and I'll get a training on the calendar for us. Celeste, I see your mic's hot. What do you got, my dear?
Well, there was a couple things, one of which was I love what Caesar just talked about, because it's almost like when you go on vacation, you have a limited amount of time right before you leave. Somehow we seem to get so much more done in that short window of time that I'm thinking I need to schedule a lot more vacations. That's one epiphany. The other was with regard to the 3 Ps. The thing that I feel is most centered on me is the idea of call reluctance. It's a common label that gets slapped on salespeople who fail to prospect. And I would say that I'm the queen of call reluctance, because I can always find other things that are so important that I have to get done. And so I'm kind of saying to myself, I guess we're at that place where I have to make a decision. How serious am I about my words? You know, when I say I want something, how serious am I? Because I have been ignoring my time blocking left and right because I don't want to make the phone calls. And the wild thing is, once I'm on a phone call, one phone call, once I'm on one, it changes everything. It's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Let's make another one.
That's what
So
I
it's
mean.
just
But yeah.
getting started.
So would you
Celeste,
like a
one thing, coach.
solution?
One thing, coach. I want to say to Celeste, because like Celeste, people will want to hear from you. That's that thing that just like how we love to hear from you and get your opinion. Your people that are in your database will love to hear from you. Say, hey, listen, 5 minutes. This is why I'm calling. Because I know your type of people. If they're like you, they'll also want like to get to the point, right? So like you'll just want to tell them, hey, this is what's happening. Just a quick overview of increase in sales or whatever your current little market is, and they'll love to hear that from an actual professional that's been doing it for a long time. So that's I just also to point to read their point. You love to you like got into it, and I just want to reiterate that they'll love to hear from you too. So I just want to throw that in there, coach, because I know Celeste sometimes feels like, oh my gosh, like again, like you're a rookie and you don't know jack. It's like, and it's the opposite. And that's what I would just want to continue to like bang on your head, because you always feel that you're down here when you're not, right? So I just want to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
So Celeste, would you like a solution right now to help you with kicking into gear on your calls?
Yes.
So what days, what day of the week or days of the week are you all in for making sure you have conversations?
Well, I should be every day.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
but
When would you like to start? And by the way, this is for all of you.
so for me, the hardest part is that I'm also
I
committed
didn't. I
to
asked for what day do you want to start? I'm going to give you a solution.
okay. My first day to start would be tomorrow.
Tomorrow, what is currently on your calendar from 2 to 5 tomorrow?
Don't believe anything except for call time.
So, Tuesdays from now on, everybody, Celeste is leading and in charge of call time on Tuesdays from 2 to 5, period. She is taking the lead. By the way, I'd love for you to do it every day. And anyone else who's committed to being a leader, him and a home and a him and a him, you didn't know I spoke Latin. You have just been anointed the leader for Tuesday call time.
Okay.
So if you don't show up, now you may be the only one in there sometimes because people don't show. Yet I bet, Tom, you're going to be there tomorrow, aren't you? So you and Celeste are now holding each other accountable for those 3 hours. And again, top of the hour, quick 5-10 minute conversation. Unless we have 6 or more people, then that first 30 minutes can be practice and role play. And then the last 2.5 hours is actually real play. That's all it is. Role play followed by real play. And magic will happen. What else you got? I'm getting background noise. Dave, talk to me a minute.
Can you hear me?
We got you.
Hot dog. It's been a while, so I don't even remember what I was going to say, but I'm here and my mic works.
So one of my tools is always to have my happy little notebook in front of me, that when I have a thought in this room, I write it down, because that does happen sometimes. So keep that bad boy, build it out. Let's help you guys stay in conversation. What else do you have? Go, Dorothy, turn that mic hot. Share, what do you got?
I think I mentioned earlier I've time blocked everything. And what I've done is turn it into a fun game. Because a long time ago, I decided if it's not fun, I'm not going to play. So for me, it has become a game. And on Friday, I had 4 people say, no, I don't want to talk to you, in that kind of a tone of voice. And I said, oh, okay, have a nice day. Trash. And I don't bother them anymore because they don't want to hear from me. And they're
So
not
that's
in.
by the way, that's a great tool, Dorothy. And that's something that everybody needs to hear. Gamify it. Make a game around it, whether it's tracking the numbers and tick mark. We don't care about the outcome. Whatever you can do to gamify the process, which by the way, then makes you be joyous for the activity rather than focused on happiness of the achievement. See, most of you, if I don't set an appointment or I don't have a good conversation, I'm unhappy because I have this expectation of the end result. When you gamify it, you're now playing with the journey rather than the end result. How many pickleball players do I have here? Raise your hands if you've gotten into the whole pickleball thing. Okay? If you're focused on winning, how much fun is it? Yet if you focus on just the play, it's a great time. How many of you, just as another fun, maybe back in college, played like beer baseball, where there was a keg on every base, right? All of a sudden, it didn't matter about winning and losing. It was the fun of the experience. So gamify it. That's part of why we do the 2 to 5. Maybe the gamifying today is who can bring the most ugly, worst call to the clear out at the top of the hour. Who had the worst experience and make it fun. Here's what they said. Here's what occurred. Here's where I screwed up. Whatever it is, man, gamify it. Have some fun with it. Let me check the chat. Beautiful. What else you guys have?
Well, Coach, it reminds me too of when back in the day, I used to door knock a little bit, and you forced me to give you some stats, and it came out to be like every 30 doors I got in the lead, but basically you broke it down to like every day if you knocked on a door, it was a certain dollar amount, and then you're like, how many doors would you be knocking out there if that was the case, right? So that always rings a bell too with that because after COVID it kind of went away and I didn't really focus on doing that. And so the context, because it's challenging sometimes to get the amount of people you want on the phone, and that was how I went to the door knocking in our prior brokerage with the training, getting to that 20 number, right? Because I couldn't get to the 20-ish number, so I would just get out there and actually talk to people. So it might be another thing to reiterate that point again now that it's still nice out to get out and make some conversations happen.
Well, and I love that you're tying this back to chapter 6 on tracking your numbers. We need to be tracking our numbers of activities. And the other thing that I love is this whole prospecting can be multiple different ways. It's the way you guys like it and what works for you. So Caesar loves face-to-face. He loves that connection. Awesome. Others love being on the phone. Awesome. Whatever works, lean into that. So I want to give you guys one more nugget that is one of my challenges for everybody struggling with conversation reluctance. And it's a guaranteed winner. The moving box aisle at Lowe's or Home Depot, Friday afternoon, evening, or Saturday morning. Hang out there, talk to every person, because why is somebody buying packing boxes?
To move.
It's too late then.
Not necessarily. Most people are smart and they're doing pre-packing. I love, though, the drunk monkey showing up. Too late then. Maybe, maybe not. If it is, can you still build a relationship? If it is the listing agent they have potentially a screw up and the house won't get sold? You never know. This is about getting people into relationships. There you go. Your mic's hot, Carrie.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Hey, so this is a question I was, and maybe you answered this, but I don't think so. I do stuff for a lot of different real estate agents and do a lot of referring out of businesses other than real estate. And I was wondering, how would I go about, like, I can track who I did and what I did and where I went. But unless those agents tell me if anyone bought, or anything like that, there's no way for me to know if that was ended up in a purchase or in a sell. How would I go about tracking that?
If
Without being able
somebody
to-
else got a sale that doesn't give you any compensation, you're doing the wrong work.
No, I mean, I get that. So my thought about tracking that is if there's enough success for that person, then maybe I should be getting a little bit of something instead
Stop
of
doing
a
work
flat
for
rate.
other people. Stop doing work for other people if it's for them and then they get the lead and they do the work, etc. Start doing it for yourself. And this is for all of you. If you're sitting in open house, awesome. You are collecting those names for you, not for the other person.
Yeah,
If
but
you are
I'm
out
not
door knocking for someone, awesome. That's for you.
right. But it's just like a favor for people, so it's just like a quick,
Stop it. How much is that favor for people paying you?
good money sometimes. To be
Well,
honest,
is it so good that you don't have to have a full-time job, Terry?
no, it's a passive part of income completely. I don't want to make a full-time job.
I'm telling you again, my dear, anybody who's got a full-time job is not doing the right prospecting at the right amount of time for themselves. It is physically impossible for you guys to spend all day, every day lead generating if you have zero pending for the next 2 weeks and not find a piece of real estate. It is physically impossible. So when you come and report to me in my old rooms, I had 20 conversations a day. I had 100 conversations this week. And over 2 weeks, you had 0 appointments. I knew you were full of crap. Now, I couldn't call you out in front of everybody and say, you're not telling the truth or you weren't doing it right. If you do not have business, there's only 3 possibilities. And let's do it right around prospecting. When it comes to your prospecting, there's only 3 possibilities. You're either doing it wrong. Okay? Odds are that's not the case. So you're doing you're doing the thing wrong. Or you're doing the wrong things. So what you're calling prospecting isn't really prospecting. Or you're not doing the thing. Those are the only 3 possibilities. You're either doing the thing wrong, not doing the thing, doing the thing wrong, doing the wrong thing, or not doing the thing. And almost always, as continually is in the book, we're not doing the thing. Oh, go away, Alexa. Cheesy peasy. Why she kicked in. So, guys, it is 10:30. Let's get this thing wrapped up. And most importantly, let's lean into activities today. It is Monday. Start the week strong, 2 to 5 o'clock in this room. If you do not truly have another appointment on your calendar, be here doing the lead gen together.
Can I add one more thing?
Of course, Celeste.
This is a really good one, by the way. And if you didn't get to this point, this is amazing. On page 65, about the 3rd or 4th paragraph down, there's one line, and the line says, blocking out the first 1 to 2 hours of each day for focused telephone prospecting block is the mark of fanatical prospectors. So sometimes we're saying, well, this isn't a good time. I'll do it another time. If you can do it first, this is your big rock. Your big rock is do it first.
Amen, my dear. Great way to anchor today.